God will provide. The Lord will indeed provide what is good. Some of you are living worried, stressed, wondering if it's ever going to happen. But understand, God will only provide you with what is good for you. In His appointed time, God will give whatever is best suited for you. He will not give you whatever you ask for. He will give what is best for you, and He will give it at the appointed time. God will not fail you or let you down. He is in complete control of everything. He has some uncommon blessings, some unprecedented favor. Every promise God puts in your heart, you will see that it comes to fulfillment. You can trust the faithfulness of God. God will provide. A very blessed day to each one of you. Shall we start with the 4th chapter? Are you ready? If not, please bring your textbooks. You should always have your textbooks. I think you have covered your textbooks neatly and labeled it. We have started with the 4th chapter, Consumption and Investment Functions. The other day I explained the meaning of consumption function, then we saw a consumption schedule, then marginal propensity to consume, then technical attributes of the consumption functions. The average propensity to consume, the marginal propensity to consume, the average propensity to save, and the marginal propensity to save. So the other day we saw all these things. You must know how to calculate. If it is given as a problem, you must know how to calculate APC, APS, MPC, and MPS. Here in this tabular column, you have a problem here, and the answer is also worked out. Income is given. Income is given. Initial income is 120, and then there is an increase in the income to 180. Consumption also likewise. Initially it is 120, then later on when the income increases, consumption has also increased to 170. So first, how do you calculate average propensity to consume? Average is expressed as a percentage. Average is expressed as a percentage. Here, average propensity to consume and average propensity to save is given as percentage, whereas the marginal propensity to consume and marginal propensity to save is given as a fraction. So first let us calculate APC. What is the formula for APC, average propensity to consume? It is C by Y, C by Y. So what is the consumption here? 120. What is the income here? 120. So 120 divided by 120. Since it is expressed as percentage, we multiply by 100. So 120 divided by 120 will give you 1. 1 into 100 will give you 100%. Hope you understood this. Similarly, average propensity to consume here. C by Y. What is C? C is 170 here and Y is 180. So 170 divided by 180 into 100 will give you 94%. So this is how you calculate APC. Next, APS. APS is S by Y. So in this, what is the savings? Your income is 120 and you have consumed all the 120. So saving is 0. 0 divided by your income is 120. 0 divided by 120 into 100 will give you 0. Next, APS for this value. 1 to 80 is your income. Your consumption is 170. So how much have you saved? Savings is equal to Y minus C. 180 minus 170 will give you 10. 10 divided by y is 180. 10 divided by 180 into 100 will give you 5.55%. Next, MPC. MPC formula is change in consumption divided by change in income. The first, for this value you cannot find out because you need two values, at least two values to calculate marginal. Here it is 120, 120 has increased to 180. So the change in income is 60. Change in income is 60. Delta Y is 60. Change in consumption, initially it was 120. Now it has become 170. So change in consumption is 50. 50 divided by 60 is equal to 0.83. You need not convert it into percentage. It is given as a fraction. Similarly, MPS is equal to delta S by delta Y. What is the savings here? First the saving was 0, then the saving was 10. So here delta S is equal to 10 divided by change in income is 60. 10 by 60 is equal to 0.17. This is how you calculate APC, APS, MPC and MPS. In case they ask as a creative question under 2 marks or 5 marks, you must be able to do this. This problem, you do not have it in your textbook. You do not have any worked out problems in your textbook. But you can see this particular tabular column is there. This particular tabular column is given there in your textbook. You do not have any problems based on this. But be prepared. Okay? You have to be prepared to answer questions like this. Calculate APC, APS, MPC and MPS. Let us go on to Keynes' psychological law of consumption. This is a very, very important question, very often asked as an essay question. Keynes' psychological law of consumption. What is meant by that? Keynes has given this law as the fundamental psychological law upon which we are entitled to depend with great confidence, both prior from our knowledge of human nature and for the detailed facts of experience, is that men are disposed as a rule and on the average to increase the consumption as their income increases, but not by as much as the increase in their income. So this is the main part of the law. What does the law say? It says that as a rule, okay, when there is an average increase in consumption, there is an average increase in consumption. Why is there an increase in the consumption? Because there is an increase in the income. So you can understand like this in a better way. Whenever there is an increase in the income, there is an increase in the consumption. But Keynes says that the increase in consumption will not be like the increase in the income. There will be an increase in consumption whenever there is an increase in the income. But the main thing is, whenever the income increases, it doesn't mean that the consumption must also increase in the same rate. It will increase, but it will increase at a lesser rate. This, how did they find out this law? They found out or they arrived at this conclusion after getting prior knowledge about the human nature. Human nature itself is like that. And based on certain experiences also, they have arrived at this law. What does the law say? Men are disposed as a rule and on the average to increase the consumption as their income increases. There will be an increase in the consumption whenever there is an increase in the income, but not as much as the increase in their income. Look at this figure. You will be able to understand. A person is getting 2,000 rupees initially. His income is 2,000. So he is buying 2 commodities. He is buying 2 goods. Okay. With this 2,000, he is able to buy 2 of this commodity. Now his income increases. Now his income has increases. How much? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It has increased 10 times. So initially he got 2,000. Now he has got 20,000. It doesn't mean that he is going to buy it the same good for 20,000. He is buying only 3 of this item. Initially he was buying 2, now he is buying 3. So what do you understand? Whenever there is an increase in the income, there is an increase in the consumption. He bought 2 units of this item. Now his consumption has increased to 3, but it has not increased in the same rate as the income. Income, consumption. Income increases, consumption increases, but not equal and to the rise in the income. It will not increase in the same manner as the income increases. This is the Keynes psychological law given by J.M. Keynes. For this law, you have certain assumptions. Already many times I've told you, all economic laws are based on assumptions. It is not like scientific law. Economics laws are different, and economic laws function only when there is an assumption. So what are the assumptions? There are 3 assumptions for Keynes psychological law of consumption. First one, ceteris paribus. 2, existence of normal condition. 3, existence of laissez-faire capitalist economy. So these are the assumptions of Keynes psychological law. What do you mean by ceteris paribus? Other things remaining constant, or other variables remaining constant. The other variables such as income, distribution, taste, habits, social customs, price movements, population growth, etc. If all these are constant, consumption increases whenever there is an increase in the income. So this is the first assumption, ceteris paribus. Second one, existence of normal condition. So the law holds good under normal conditions. If, however, the economy is faced with abnormal and extraordinary circumstances like war, revolution, or hyperinflation, the law will not operate. So the law will operate only under normal conditions. Okay, if it is abnormal situation like war or hyperinflation, the law will not operate. Last one, existence of laissez-faire capitalistic economy. What do you mean by laissez-faire? Freedom, and full freedom is given. There is no government intervention. The law operates in a rich capitalist economy where there is no government intervention. People should be free to spend increased income. People must have the freedom to spend whatever they have. In the case of regulations of private enterprise and consumption expenditure by the state, the law breaks down. If the state is going to intervene, or if the state is going to control the consumption of the people, then this law will not operate. So what does the Keynes psychological law explain? It says that consumption increases whenever there is an increase in the income. என்ன சொல்றாங்க? நுகர்வு அல்லது நம்ம நுகர்ச்சி செய்கிறது அதிகமாகும். எப்போ அதிகமாகும்? வருமானம் எப்பெல்லாம் உயர்தோ அப்பெல்லாம் நம்மளுடைய நுகர்வு தேவையும் அதிகரிக்கும். ஆனால் வருமானம் உயர்ற அதே அளவுக்கு நுகர்வு செலவு அதிகரிக்காது. நுகர்வு செலவு அதிகரிக்கும், ஆனால் வருமான அதிகரிப்பை விட குறைவாக அதிகரிக்கும்னு சொல்கிறாங்க. ஸோ இதுக்கு சில அசம்ஷன்ஸ். ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ceteris paribus, next one existence of normal condition, and third one existence of laissez-faire capitalistic economy. So what are the propositions of the law? What are the propositions? There are 3 propositions given. Okay, first one, when income increases, consumption expenditure also increases. Already I have told this. Whenever there is an increase in income, the consumption expenditure also increases, but by a smaller amount. It will not increase rapidly like how income increases. It will increase, but it will increase to a smaller amount. Second proposition, the increased income will be divided in some proportion between consumption expenditure and savings. For example, if a family is getting 1,000 rupees, okay, and they need the 1,000 rupees for the entire family, so they are spending 1,000. Next month, when they get 5,000 rupees, if their income increases to 5,000, initially their income was 1,000, now the income has increased to 5,000. It doesn't mean that they will go and spend all the 5,000 on consumption like how they did for the previous month. Previous month they had only 1,000 rupees income, so So they spent all the 1,000 rupees. But this month they have got 5,000 rupees. It doesn't mean that they will spend all the 5,000. They will spend 2,000 and they might save 3,000. So the increase in the income has led to the savings. They are consuming a part of the income and the remaining part they are saving. This is the second proposition. The increased income will be divided in some proportion. It depends on the individual. Okay, if the individual is a spendthrift, he will try to spend more and he will try to save little. It depends on the individual. So in some proportion, there will be the increased income will be divided in some proportion between consumption, expenditure and savings. Third one, increase in income always lead to increase in both consumption and savings. This I think you can understand very easily. Whenever there is an increase in the income, automatically there will be an increase in the consumption and the savings. So these are the three propositions of the Keynes psychological law. This is also very, very important. It is quite often asked as 2 marks question. What are the propositions of Keynes psychological law? You have to write the 3 points. Now there is a table. Income 120, consumption 120, so savings is 0. Next, income has increased from 120, it has become 180. Naturally, consumption also has increased, but the person has not spent the entire thing on consumption. He is saving 10 rupees. So 10 rupees he has saved. Third one, income is 240, consumption has also increased to 220. Now his savings has also increased. Okay, hope you understood this table. So from this table, we can draw this graph. Okay, we are drawing this graph. 0, 120, 180, 240. Next is 120, 170, 180 and 220. This line, this 45-degree line is a line where consumption is equal to income. Consumption is equal to income. So anywhere on this line, the saving will be 0. The saving will be 0. Take this point. For example, take this point. Wait. I will just, to make it easy for me, to make it convenient for you, I am naming this point as E. Okay. E. At this point E, income is 120 and consumption is 120. So how much is the saving? 0. Take this point. Okay, this point. I'll name it D. Okay. Here income is 180 and consumption is also 180. Income is 180, consumption is also 180. So how much is your saving? Saving is 0. It lies on this line. Come to this point. Okay, this point. We'll name it F. Simply I am naming it, enabling you to understand it easier. At this point, income is 120 and consumption is 240. I'm sorry, income is 240 and consumption is also 240. Let me take my laser pen now. At this point, F, income is 240 and consumption is also 240. So this is also saving is 0. So anywhere in this line, take the point E, take the point D, take the point F. Everywhere saving is 0. So this 45-degree line shows that consumption is equal to income. C is equal to Y. That is number 1. Consumption is equal to Y. Second one, savings will be equal to 0. So anywhere on this red line, C is equal to Y, consumption is equal to income and savings will be equal to 0. Take this green line. Take this green line. Green line starts from the y-axis and it says it starts from 20. So I can mark this also 20. Let me take a different color. Okay. So it starts at 20. I've explained this concept many times. Even when income is 0, consumption is happening. 20 rupees he is able to consume for 20 rupees. How? It may be his previous saving, or he might have begged or borrowed from somebody. It starts from 20. That's why we have C is equal to 20 plus 5 by 6y. I'll explain why this is 5 by 6y. So this line is called as the consumption line. Green line is called as the consumption line. C is equal to 20. Why is it 20? It is autonomous consumption. It starts from 20. That's why 20. Well, how did you get this 5 by 6? Now let us go on to this part, okay? What is the difference between the consumption 120, 170, 20? So there is a increase of 50. There is an increase of 50. What is the difference in the income? 120 to 180, 180 to 240, there is 60. So what is marginal propensity to consume? Marginal propensity to consume is equal to, what is the formula? Change in consumption divided by change in income. So how much is the change in consumption? 50. How much is the change in income? 60. Strike off this 0 and this 0. So what is MPC? MPC is 5 by 6. That is what we have written here. MPC is 5 by 6. Hope you understood this, girls. So did you understand how we got this 5 by 6? It is from this tabular column. Change in consumption is 50. Change in income is 60. Marginal propensity to consume, you know the formula, delta C by delta Y. So 50 divided by 60. 50 divided by 60 is 5 by 6y. So again the same proposition. What is proposition 1? When income increases, consumption expenditure also increases. When income increases from 120 to 180, consumption also increases from 120 to 170. When income increases from 120 to 180, consumption also increases from 120 to 170. But the increase in consumption is less than the increase in the income. So 10 rupees is saved. So look at this point. Let me take the pen again. Okay. Look at this point. Okay. Shall we name it T? Okay. T. Take this point T. How much is your income? Your income is 180. Your income is 180. How much is your consumption? 170. Consumption is 170 and your income is 180. Okay. So how much is the savings? Savings is 10 rupees is saving. 10 rupees is saving. This is 180. Okay. 180 and this is 170. So your saving is 10 rupees. Your saving is 10 rupees. So this is what is given here. When income increases from 120 to 180, consumption also increases from 120 to 170 and there is a saving of 10 rupees. Second proposition. What is the second proposition? When income increases to from 180 and 240, it is divided in some proportion between consumption by 170 and 220 and saving by 10 and 20. As your income increases, let me take my 1 minute. Laser pen. Let me take my laser pen. Okay. When income increases to 180 and 240, it is divided in some proportion between consumption 170 and 220 and saving by 10 and 20 respectively. Whenever there is an increase in the income, there is an increase in consumption and there is an increase in savings. Also, initially from 10 rupees, the saving has increased to 20 rupees. Third proposition. Increase in income to 180 and 240 lead to increase in consumption from 170 and 220 and increase in saving from 10 and 20. So whenever there is an increase in the income, there is an increase in the consumption and there is also an increase in the savings. So the gap between the consumption curve and the 45-degree line is becoming wider and wider and wider. Here it was at equilibrium. Income was equal to consumption. Then here the gap became wider, 10 rupees. Here the gap became wider, it became 20 rupees. As you go further down, the gap between the consumption curve, the red and the green curve, increases. Can you see? It is increasing. Initially, the gap between the green and the red curve was small. It increased, and now it has increased. If you go further down, the gap between the consumption curve and the 45-degree line increases. It is clear from the widening area below the sieve curve and the saving gap between 45-degree line and sieve curve. So the savings increases. As the gap between the curves increases, the saving also increases. So this is only the Keynes psychological law of consumption. We haven't finished it. I will stop and then I will continue.